We'll call the special meeting to order for September 21st, and I will begin, as we always do, with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so the first item on the agenda, as you know, the closing of the Meadowwood acquisition is scheduled for this Friday. And for that to happen, the Board of Selectmen needs to accept and appropriate the remaining incoming funds to the capital project. Maria, it's been a long time leading up to this point, a lot of work by staff, incredible, Trust for Public Land. What would you like to share about these motions tonight?
Great, thanks, Eric. A couple of just key pieces with the motions. You may recall that earlier in the summer, we were officially notified that we were the recipient of some funds from the Department of Agriculture towards the acquisition. We got the final number from them very recently, and it was slightly more than what we had anticipated by about $11,000. So one of the pieces this evening would be just to essentially, re-accept those funds at that full amount so we could appropriate the revenue that we are in fact receiving. So it's a nice problem to have that it's a little more than we had expected. And as you all know, we are working towards a closing date of this Friday. We were just very recently notified the official confirmation that the federal Highlands conservation dollars were in fact awarded towards the acquisition. That was a really big piece of the puzzle. That's $1.4 million in funds, again, that have officially been awarded for the purchase of this property. And the other piece is $280,000 from the George Dudley Seymour Trust towards the acquisition of the property. And so for the George Dudley Seymour Trust and the Federal Highlands Conservation dollars, TPL was essentially the applicant for us. But again, as we're working towards closing, all the funds are going to be wired into an account for escrow and to go towards the purchase. So Bob had suggested procedurally the way that those funds are being wired, that we essentially accept the grants as the town and then appropriate the grant revenues. And those were the last remaining pieces before closing on Friday.
Okay, thanks, Maria. Were there any questions from the board or anything that anyone wanted to add or ask?
So, I mean, just to be clear, this is consistent with the chart that we've been looking at for a couple of years now, Maria. And at the end of the day, it's, as you said, slightly more than what we had anticipated from it. So the town side is still the 2.5 million that was approved at a referendum, right? So from the official taxpayers contribution, and then everything else is as we anticipated through grant and private funds elsewhere, but not from the taxpayers directly, right? That's what the summation of this is.
Correct, right. And so for just pulling up the chart in your packet, for people at home who might be watching, Sean had a great point. So page 4 of the packet, that is the status of the acquisition funding. And you'll, I believe it's on here, yes. The total amount that the town will be bringing to closing is the 5.35, but that includes the grant funding. So from the bond revenue, about 2.383 million. You'll see that as Town of Simsbury contribution. That's how much of the authorized bond funding we will be bringing to closing towards the acquisition. Folks may recall we had budgeted a little bit, above and beyond up to 2.5 because we did anticipate that there would be some smaller additional costs, which we have incurred along, with surveying, environmental review work, things of that nature that all kind of go into closing. But in terms of the purchase price, it's the 2.38 and some change that we will be bringing to closing.
No, and I appreciate that. There's a lot of numbers here, and I know, we've all been neck deep in this for a long time, but for the folks at home, whether it was a bond issuance, and there's so lots of different pools of money as we've tried to articulate over the, the 18 to 24 months here. But at the end of the day, the taxpayers are paying we'll call it 2.4, which is roughly 117,000 under what was approved at the special referendum that was called for by the petition. So, I think that's really good news. And that we, again, we're not asking for an additional sum of money beyond what was already approved. We're actually coming under. and that all the grants in, and and I know there's been questions around timing and why weren't these appropriations budgeted for back in the budget? Well, we could have done that. And we could have approved them, but we'd be back here today revising them because the numbers are different as these grants came in, right? So, as I believe, as I've been educated and reminded by Bob D and by you, these are standard for these types of real estate transactions, that until you actually get the funds from the state agencies, you're not exactly sure the final dollar amount. So, for folks at home or others that might be confused on, why is this, happening here? This is consistent with how these types of transactions go. And again, at the end of the day, we're not asking for any additional funds from the general fund or from the Board of Finance or the taxpayers here. So
I just have a comment too, Maria. What originally, how it's come through us and then it's going back to them. Originally, didn't we think these were their grants, that the money was going to go to them, we would just bring our check to the table, but didn't somewhere along the line, they asked us to take the money in? Wasn't that a little bit of a change from what we thought up front?
Yeah, just in terms of, it's hard to even say that our name would be on the check technically, because it's all done electronically for the most part now. But yes, the Federal Highlands dollars and the trust money would be coming to us through a wire transfer to then go into that, the account for escrow.
Okay. Any other questions?
No, just good job, folks. I think this is a big deal for the town, and it's a very good thing. Well done.
You're here. Is there a motion effective September 21st, 2021 to accept approximately $886,500 from the State Department of Agriculture and or the Trust for Public Land to be applied towards the acquisition of Meadowood, and also to authorize Town Manager Maria Capriola to execute all documents related to accepting these funds? And this motion replaces the motion that was made on June 28th of 2021. You made the motion, Sean?
I'll second.
And Jackie seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? See that? The motion passes. A couple more. Is there a motion effective September 21st, 2021 to accept approximately $280,000 from the George Dudley Seymour Trust and or the Trust for Public Land to be applied towards the acquisition of Meadowood, and also to authorize Town Manager Maria Capriola to execute all documents related to accepting these funds?
I'll move that. I'll second that one.
Sorry.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that motion passes unanimously. Is there a motion effective September 21, 2021 to accept approximately $1.4 million from the Federal Highlands Conservation Program and or the Trust for Public Land to be applied towards the acquisition of Meadowood, and also to authorize Town Manager Maria Capriola to execute all documents related to accepting these funds, and further to approve a supplemental appropriation in the amount of $2 million for the Meadowood purchase as presented and recommend its approval to the Board of Finance. The total town appropriation will be $5,466,500.
I'll move that one.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Again, we're going to, best of luck on the closing. I know if it's anything like closing on my house, it's a little bit nerve-wracking, but wish everybody the best. And we're going to find a great way to celebrate this as a community.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I agree. Well done.
Thank you.
Aye. Aye.
Okay, final item on the agenda. As you know, our town clerk, Erica Butler, resigned from her position last month to take a job in the private sector. And after a search and 3 rounds of interviews, Trish Monroe emerged as the preferred candidate. Trish is currently the assistant town clerk in West Hartford. Trish, thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Of course.
Very exciting. I'm very excited about the new position and to be in Simsbury serving the community that I just love and I've lived here for over 20 years. So it's really something I'm looking forward to, and I'm very, very honored to have been selected.
Great. Thank you, Trish. Maria, what would you want to add about the process?
Great. Yeah, thank you so much, Eric. So again, really excited to bring forward Trish Monroe for appointment to our town clerk position. She has a great background and both work experience as well as her education experience that I think will serve her very well in this role. She has served 2 communities, neighboring communities of ours, in the role of assistant town clerk, recently moving on to a larger community, and also has a JD. And previously, earlier in her career, had done work with administrative and statutory law. She also has completed her coursework towards the Connecticut Municipal Clerks certification and is just waiting to test for that certification. She is a Simsbury resident and knows our community well. Throughout the recruitment process, I was very impressed with her commitment to the profession and just level of professionalism that I think she will bring to the job. So again, really excited to have her come on board. Want to wish her well. And thank you all for your consideration.
Great. Any questions for Maria or Trish? All right. Is there a motion to appoint Ms. Trish Monroe to the position of town clerk effective October 4th, 2021, with a salary and employment-related benefits assigned to that position?
Make a motion.
Second.
Jackie made the motion, Sean seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hey, congratulations, Trish.
Congratulations,
Welcome,
Trish.
Trish.
Welcome.
Welcome aboard, Trish.
Welcome.
Thank you for including me tonight. And again, look forward to working with all of you. And I'm again so excited to be in the position of town clerk in the
Great.
town that I love.
Great. Look forward to
Great.
working with you.
Absolutely.
Congratulations.
Thanks so much. And thank you all.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Oh, I heard Jackie get that in. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right.
See you at 5:45.
Can't wait. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care, guys.